everybody to our regular board meeting today on June 24th. I, Antonio Martinez, President of the Governing Board, call this regular board meeting of the San Isidro School District to order at 5:01 p.m. I'd like to ask that all members of the board mute their devices at this time. Trustees of the San Isidro School District and the public shall participate in this meeting via teleconference. The public may view this meeting by accessing the YouTube link provided on the agenda. Members of the public are welcome to record this meeting using their own personal devices. The district will also make an audio recording available upon request to the district office. Prior to roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that this governing board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953 and Governor Newsom's Executive Order N2920. Now we're going to move on to roll call. Dr. Potter, as our superintendent and our secretary to the board, can you please conduct the roll call for attendance?
Thank you, Mr. President. Conducting roll call, beginning with board member Irene Lopez.
Present.
Board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Present.
Board clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Present.
Board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Here.
And board president Antonio Martinez.
Present.
Mr. President, all 5 board members are here.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We do have a quorum. I would now like to request that each board member respond to the following questions. We're going to start with board member Irene Lopez. Mrs. Lopez, can you hear me well? I think you're on mute, Mrs. Lopez.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. Yes, I can.
And were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for the meeting?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. Mr. Gurmilan, can you hear me well?
I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
I could.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for the meeting?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gurmilan. Mrs. Palasigue, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for the meeting?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Palasigue. Mr. Lopez, can you hear me well?
I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
I could.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for the meeting?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. We're going to move on to number 3, which is the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion. Oh, go ahead,
Okay.
Mr. Lopez.
We made so Mr. Gurmilan made the motion. Mr. Lopez seconds that. Do we have any corrections or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote for the agenda?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item number 3, beginning with board member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Yes.
Board clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board president Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to public comment communications on closed session items. Mr. Mata, do we have any public comment for closed session?
Good evening, Mr. President, Governing Board, Cabinet, and guests. We do not have any public comments for closed session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mata. We're going to move on to number 5, which is Governing Board recess into closed session. Do I have a motion to recess the closed session in accordance with Section 54954.5 regarding 5.1, Government Code Section 54957, 5.2, Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, 5.3, conference with legal counsel pending litigation, 5.4, counsel with legal counsel pending litigation, and 5.5, conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation, 1 case. Do we have a motion to recess?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Lopez, second by Mrs. Palasigue. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote? In this case, to recess the closed session at 5:06 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote, beginning with board member Irene Lopez
Yes.
and board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board vice president Board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Sorry. Board president Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. And on that note, we're going to be recessing to closed session at 5:06 p.m. See everybody there. And for those that are listening, we'll be back at 6 p.m. Thanks. Okay, everyone, I think most of us are here. I think we're waiting for Mrs. Lopez. Dr. Potter, could somebody reach out to Mrs. Lopez, please? Thank you.
Mr. President, Mrs. Lopez is now logged in.
Oh, thank you. Perfect. We're all here. And we're about to get started, everyone. So I'd like us to reconvene from closed session at 6:06 p.m. We have nothing to report out. The board did not take action in closed session. I, Antonio Martinez, President of the Governing Board, call this regular board meeting of the San Isidro School District to order. I'd like to ask that all members of the board to mute their devices at this time. Trustees of San Isidro School District Board and the public shall participate in this meeting via teleconference. The public may view this meeting by accessing the YouTube link provided on the agenda. To listen to this meeting in Spanish, please call 413-350-0549 and enter the access code 527-300-364#. Para escuchar esta junta en español, por favor llame al 413-350-0549 y ingrese el código de acceso 527-300-364, signo de gato. Members of the public are welcome to record this meeting using their own personal devices. The district will also make an audio recording available upon request to the district office. Prior to roll call, I would like to make clear for the record of this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that this governing board meeting is conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953 and Governor Newsom's Executive Order N2920. On that note, we're gonna move on to roll call, and I'd like to ask our Superintendent and Secretary to the Board, Dr. Potter, to conduct roll call for attendance, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Conducting roll call, which is agenda item number 7. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Present?
Board Member Humberto Germilan.
Here?
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Present.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Here.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Present.
Mr. President, all 5 board members are here.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Now I'd like to request that each board member respond to the following questions. We're going to first start with board member Irene Lopez. Mrs. Lopez, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
And were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for the meeting?
Yes, I do, President.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. Mr. Gurmilan, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
I could.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gurmilan. Mrs. Palasigue, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Palasigue. Mr. Lopez, can you hear me well?
I can.
Were you able to hear our proceedings on this end until now?
I could.
And do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. And on that note, we're going to move on to the flag salute number 8. Please join me in the flag salute. We'll be displaying a picture of the flag on the screen. I would ask those in the meeting, including other board members, to please mute to avoid feedback during the salute. And on that note, I'll be honored to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 9, which is board recognitions, Distinguished Champion Awards, and I'm gonna pass it to Mr. Mata.
Good evening, Mr. President, Governing Board, Superintendent, Cabinet, and guests. It is now time for our favorite part of the meeting. No disrespect meant, but our favorite part of the meeting, the Distinguished Champion Awards, where we recognize students for their achievements. And tonight, we're going to have the honor of having Miss Veronica Medina, Student and Family Services Manager and member of the San Isidro Women's Club, to give a little overview on our distinguished champions today. Veronica?
Good evening, members of the Governing Board, Superintendent Dr. Potter, and all members of the Cabinet team. Not only am I a proud employee of the San Isidro School District, but also a proud member of the San Isidro Women's Club that was founded in 1937. Since then, our members have helped many students and families within our San Isidro community. We currently have 44 members that are very much dedicated to San Isidro. Our scholarship committee successfully raised a total of $34,000 this year to provide scholarships to students from San Isidro High School, San Isidro Middle School, and Vista del Mar. We spent many hours reading essay after essay, and I am honored to introduce 2 of our amazing 8th grade students that received a scholarship this year. I now invite Alexia Carrillo, who was one of 9 recipients from the San Isidro Middle School, to read her essay. Alexia, can you please share your essay? Is she on?
Ms. Medina, we're still waiting on Miss Alexa, so if we don't mind introducing our next
Our next-
presenter.
Perfect. I will now then introduce Glenn P. Chandler II, who was one of 18 recipients from Vista del Mar, to please read his essay. Hi, Glenn. I see that you're on. Can you please share your essay with us?
Hello there. Thank you for having me. My name is Glenn Patrick Chandler II. I am now out of 7th grade. Will be an 8th grader by the end of next month. And here's my speech that I submitted to the San Isidro Women's Club. My name is Glenn Patrick Chandler II. I am an 8th grade student at Vista del Mar Middle School in San Diego, California. At the age of 14, I currently have aspirations and goals to advance my knowledge and interest in guitar, science and technology, and financial literacy. By achieving these goals, I hope to better support myself, my family, and my peers. After my 8th grade promotion, my goals are to continue to learn to play the guitar. I was introduced to the guitar in the 6th grade and enjoyed it tremendously. Playing the guitar showed me how to be creative, and by learning new songs, to play notes, and by interacting with others who shared my interest. It's unfortunate that the pandemic occurred because it kept me from my music class. I found music class to be fun and hope to find new ways to better my talent in playing the guitar. Another thing I could do after my 8th grade promotion and high school graduation is extend my knowledge of science and technology since the pandemic happened. I've seen how much science and technology have impacted the world. Now with school online, I can take advantage of getting to learn things like guitar at home through technology. After my 8th grade promotion and high school graduation, I'll learn more about how to help others by exploring my interest in science and technology. My plans and goals following my 8th grade promotion and high school graduation include becoming financially responsible. I'm interested in this because I enjoy having money to spend on things I need and enjoy. I like my new computer system. Also, I am able to help in case of an emergency, like ordering pizza until my mom and dad get back home to start dinner, maintaining my financial stability by developing good financial habits. Being well informed will help me better support myself and my family. In conclusion, I will continue to remain involved in guitar, science and technology, and becoming financially responsible. Beyond my 8th grade promotion and high school graduation, I recognize that improvement and better listening skills in these areas can be an impact for my future in many good ways. I appreciate the generous support from my school and family to help me reach my goals. Thank you, San Isidro Women's Club, for the time and consideration. Sincerely.
Oh, I think he froze. They're trying to connect again. I want you to have an opportunity to ask. Oh, there it is, Mr. Chandler. Would the board like to ask any questions?
No questions from my end. I just think that, Glenn, that's a fabulous, fabulous speech, and just congratulations on your award. Are you excited for 8th grade?
Thank you. And yes, I very much am excited. I feel like it's going to be very fun.
It will be.
Great job, Glenn. You're such a well-spoken young man. You seem to have your eye on all the targets in life, and you seem to have everything mapped out, which is more than I can say for myself at your age. So congratulations for being such an upstanding citizen. For being selected by San Ysidro Women's Club is a great honor. They're an amazing organization. They care about kids. They care about our community. And it sounds like when you grow up, you're going to be one of those too. So congratulations. You are on your way, and have a great year.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Glenn, do you know what your name means? It comes from the Scottish origin.
It means graceful field or a small meadow.
It comes from the wooded valley. Something that maybe you don't, but I looked it up because the Glen is not very common, okay? But I wanted to tell you also, it seems so, part of the Women's Club, also I'm a member, but also to give you this congratulations, and you've earned it. And what you wrote in your letter was actually beautiful of who you really are. And I wish you lots of luck. And I know you'll become really accomplished even more as you grow into the years that come. So thank your parents and your family, and you take care and be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you
too.
all.
Stay safe.
Hi, Glenn. I just wanted to say a few words. Hi, I'm Dr. Potter, the superintendent. What an outstanding essay. I was talking to the San Ysidro Women's Club, and I asked them, I said, gosh, we've had all of these essay winners, and between the two middle schools, would you just choose just a few of the absolutely best essays? So I want to tell you that your essay rose to the top of the top 3 essays between both middle schools. You did an outstanding job, not only with your writing skills, but with the content of your essay and the vision that you have for yourself in the future. Our district's so very proud of you, and we want to say congratulations by honoring you with our Distinguished Champion Award. Congratulations, Glenn.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any more
Thank you,
comments
Glenn.
from our? Oh.
Yep.
Well, we were waiting for Miss Alexa Carrillo, but she seems to have not logged on. And then we had Miss Liliana Torres also, but she had a family emergency and could not be with us today. We were expecting Miss Alexis Carrillo. Miss Veronica, would you like to read? Would that be appropriate for her to read her essay, or should we wait to have her on at a later date?
Let's have them on at a later date. I'd love to hear them read them.
Okay. So congratulations, Mr. Chandler, for your Distinguished Champion Award, and great luck. Good luck for you when you move on to high school.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glenn.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you, Miss Veronica Medina. And now we can move on to the next phase, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. And on that note, we're going to move on to number 10, which is public comment communications on open session items. Mr. Mata, do we have any public comment on open session items?
Yes, we do, Mr. President. We have 16 comments, and if it's okay, I will start reading them, and I will go
Please.
through them. Yeah, I will go through them. The first one is from Holly Black. It's just public comment. It states, Guadalupe Barrera, also known as Lupita, is an incredible fixture in our school. I say fixture because she belongs at Sims and has been at Sims for over a decade. Lupita would like to stay with us at Sims, and we would like to have her to remain where she is, very needed. Lupita knows and loves our community. The families depend on her. The teachers and staff depend on her. She knows what we need, and she makes sure we have it. It would be detrimental to our school to transfer Lupita to another school. She is what Sims needs, and she would like to stay. Thank you. Respectfully, Holly Black from Sims. Number 2 is from Lupe Barrera. Dear esteemed board and district leadership, I am begging you from the bottom of my heart to please remain at San Isidro Middle School. I have been the administrative secretary at Sims for over 10 years. I have spent more than a decade building excellent working relationships with the Sims community, the classified and certificated staff there, the personnel, parents, students, and the overall community as a whole. I have also had the privilege of serving under the leadership of several talented and experienced principals and administrators who have given me excellent evaluations and their highest regards for my services. I know what it takes to help run the logistics of Sims on a day-to-day basis, and I have been doing it faithfully for all of these many years. I do not know about the elementary school that I am being involuntarily transferred to. I do not know about that school's procedures, the logistics, and the ins and outs. I do know the school's community. I do not know the school's community nor its staff. What I do know is Sims and know how to help it operate its day-to-day operations. I apologize for bothering you, but as a classified employee, this personal plea to you is my primary means of contesting this transfer. I thank you all for hearing me out, and I thank you for considering my request to please remain at Sims. Sincerely, Guadalupe Lupita Barrera. Next one is from Hontes Smith. Lupita will be missed, and Sims. Next one is Arlie Ames, public comment. To whom it may concern, I have been a teacher at Sims since 2013, and I was shocked when I found out that the heart of our school was being transferred. I am supplicating that the transfer for Ms. Barrera, also known as Lupita, be reconsidered and she can remain at Sims. Our school has been through so much with constant reassignments for administration that this would be detrimental for our school. Lupita has always been our main support system and knows how to fix any issue that may arise. She wears every single hat that can be worn to run our school. Lupita is the heart and soul of Sims, and I can honestly say she is the reason why our staff is so united. She always greets students, parents, and staff with a smile and goes above and beyond to ensure everyone is taken care of. Please do not take away the one thing that has been constant on our campus. We need Lupita. Respectfully, Arlie Ames, San Isidro Middle School. Number 5, Christian Lopez, public comment. The Sims staff was heartbroken to hear that Guadalupe Barrera, known to us as Lupita, is being forcefully removed from Sims despite her wishes to remain. She wants to stay at Sims. The certificated staff wants her to stay. The classified staff wants her to stay. The parents, students, and community of Sims have come to depend on her over more than a decade of her loyal service, specifically at San Isidro Middle School. We don't want Lupita to stay for arbitrary reasons. We want her to stay because she is our firefighter at Sims. You might be confused about what I mean by firefighter. When I say that Lupita is our firefighter, I mean that she is constantly putting out fires, solving problems, fixing crises, aiding the community, and putting the school's needs ahead of her own. Sims desperately needs her. In fact, we need even more people like her, not less. The Sims teachers need her, the Sims personnel need her, the Sims students need her, and the Sims families need her. The board has been very considerate, courageous, and merciful during this time of unprecedented change and crises. We truly appreciate that we hope that your courtesy would also apply to the heart of Sims, Lupita Barrera. Please don't take away our heart. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sims history teacher, Christian Lopez. Drina Bedoya, this is number 6, to whom it may concern, Guadalupe Barrera is an integral part of our staff here at San Isidro Middle School. I can't tell you how much she does for the office, the staff, the students, because her actions are truly immeasurable. You genuinely cannot imagine the amount of work she does on a single basis for the Sims community, nor could you imagine how much Sims would struggle without her. She does so much for every single one of us, every single day. In the last 13 years, Sims has had 8 different principals, and yet she has worked well with all 8 of them. She is extremely hardworking and does above and beyond her job description on a moment's notice. I have often said that she could run the school on her own. She does everything. Her presence at Sims would be desperately missed if she were reassigned to another school. Her absence at the middle school would hurt the teachers, hurt the day-to-day operations of the school, and as a result of that, hurt the students and families who depend on things to go smoothly without a hitch. Especially we try to gradually return things back to normal. A Sims without Lupita is not normal, and it's not beneficial. Please allow Lupita to say at Sims. Thank you for listening to our concerns. Sincerely, Drina Bedoya, Sims English teacher. Sylvia Lugo, this is number 7. Sylvia Lugo, public comment. Good evening, board members. With all due respect, I would like to offer a few words for Ms. Lupita Barrera. Ms. Barrera has been part of the San Isidro School District for the past 27 years, and she has spent the last 12 years as admin secretary 2 at San Isidro Middle School, Sims. It is with great pleasure that I offer these words of support for Ms. Barrera. I have known Ms. Barrera for the past 10 years and have seen her work very diligently. Ms. Barrera has the experience and is very knowledgeable on what it takes to operate the Office of Sims. Despite the fact that there are many differences between the elementary schools and the middle schools, Ms. Barrera has been able to manage the Office of Sims for many years in a very professional manner. Ms. Barrera has had a number of principals throughout her years at Sims. For different reasons, principals at Sims come and go, but Ms. Barrera has always been there, strongly holding the fort and making sure that everything goes well for the new principal, staff, and students. Ms. Barrera knows her job very well, but most importantly, she knows the community and the community knows her. Please consider keeping Ms. Barrera at Sims where she can continue to be a great support to the principal and everyone around her. Thank you, Sylvia Lugo. Number 8, Gabriela Simpson, public comment. I've had the pleasure of teaching at Sims for the past 13 years. Within those 13 years, our staff has faced many different challenges, one of which being the constant change of our administrative team. I've honestly lost count of the numerous changes. Yet amidst the turbulence, instability, our administrative secretary, Lupita Barrera, has been the one consistent person that has facilitated the transitions from one principal to another. She's guided one admin after another and helped the school operate despite the variations in leadership. Whoever was in the principal's office could depend on Lupita as a right-hand woman to show them the way. Please don't take that away from our school. Lupita knows Sims like the back of her hand. She knows its procedures, its protocols, its documents, its staff, its students, and its community. It is not efficient to put our school at a disadvantage by removing such a precious resource like Lupita. It is not ethical to put our school at a disadvantage by removing such a precious resource like Lupita. There's a reason that the Sims staff are writing to you about this matter. We wouldn't do that for just anyone, especially not during our summer vacation. It's because we know at the end of the day, it is detrimental to the efficient running of Sims to remove Lupita Barrera from the school against her will, especially when she has done absolutely nothing wrong. It is detrimental to the middle school, its staff, and its students. Thank you, Gabi Simpson, ELA teacher. Next one, Mayura Vangsdath, public comment. Hello, board members and Superintendent Potter. Consistency is essential as one of the foundations of success for any school. Consistency is not something we have had at Sims. Next year will be my 7th year at Sims, and we will be undergoing our 10th administrative change, principals and assistant principals included. The one constant we have had is our beloved administrative secretary, Ms. Lupita Barrera. She is the backbone of Sims and is essential to the consistency we need. Please reconsider her transfer as it will be a tremendous loss to our site. Thank you, Ms. V from Sims. Valerie Gonzalez. Dear district leaders and board members, Lupita Barrera has been our consistent rock during our rotation of over 6 different principals within the 13 years. A solid rock that all of us at SIMS have come to depend on. Students, teachers, and staff have had to constantly adjust to new leadership, which makes it very difficult to improve student achievement and motivation. Therefore, it clearly affects employee morale. Throughout the years, despite the changes in leadership, Lupita has provided a great amount of support through her knowledge and expertise of our specific school site. Lupita holds a clear understanding of the unique culture and needs of SIMS through her many years of hard work and dedication to our school. Year after year, we enroll amazing students that are greatly challenged and require a great deal of academic, emotional, and social support. Lupita supports teachers in such a way that it facilitates the manner in which we can fully help meet the needs of our students. She supports families by taking care of their needs as well as they know her on a first name basis and helps guide them through any issues that arise. Speaking firsthand as a teacher myself, knowing that I have the unconditional support of my school secretary and knowing I can count on her helps me be a better teacher and to ultimately better serve our students. She has established exceptional rapport with staff members and with families. Lupita's presence, knowledge, and expertise of the middle school in particular makes her an irreplaceable asset to the Sims family. Please reconsider this drastic change to our school that will negatively affect student achievement, school morale, and the daily operations of SIMS. Respectfully, Valerie Gonzalez, San Isidro Middle School history teacher. Next one, Sylvia Robeledo. Hello, my name is Sylvia Robeledo, and I've worked for this district for nearly 32 years. I currently work at SIMS as a school counselor. I respectfully request that you reconsider the transfer of our administrative secretary, Ms. Guadalupe Barrera, and allow her to remain at SIMS. Ms. Barrera has worked at SIMS for nearly 15 years. She's developed solid professional and personal relationships with all staff there. Over the years, she's earned the staff's trust due to her professionalism, courtesy, and wise judgment. She knows the campus, culture, and climate of SIMS inside and out. Ms. Barrera has developed processes, procedures, and logistical strategies that help the middle school function. She ensures that the many campus activities and events run like clockwork. These skills are developed over years and not just automatic. It doesn't make sense to transfer someone who is working well for everyone, has years of experience at this campus, and specific knowledge to how SIMS operates. It will also not make sense to the staff, parents, and students who find out this valuable resource is being stripped away from our school. Ms. Barrera is an integral part of SIMS. Her transfer negatively impacts our staff, parents, and students. Her transfer tremendously harms the operation of SIMS, especially reopening after the pandemic. We need someone who is already experienced on this campus. We need Ms. Barrera so that SIMS employees and families have reassurance going to someone knowledgeable and trusted at our school. Ms. Barrera will be an asset to new administrators or staff members coming into the middle school. Her being allowed to remain at SIMS would give everyone peace of mind and the knowledge that our school year will begin as smoothly as possible with all staff feeling the right decision was made. Thank you. Next one, Juan Pedraja. My name is Juan Pedraja. I taught at SIMS for over 25 years. While many came and went, I never abandoned ship. SIMS holds a special place in my heart. One of the people who added to the culture of the school was Guadalupe Barrera. Ms. Barrera has been a district employee for 25 years. If she has been a productive employee and an integral part of San Isidro Middle School, why transfer her? Employees are a school district's most valuable asset and collectively have the power to help schools survive and thrive in bad times as well as in good time, as well as in good. Our district needs to stop foisting continual change upon their staff in a bid to be viable and in compliance. The secret is not to ignore the fact change can threaten the staff, who in turn can become exhausted, cynical, or depressed, which destabilizes the school site. Districts which overload the employees with continual change tend to see staff react by withdrawing and becoming less engaged, resulting in poorer performance, productivity, and morale. Next one, David Alcaz. When I first began my teaching career at Sims several years ago, I felt overwhelmed. I was completely new and inexperienced to the teaching profession at the time. I had just graduated college and felt thrown into the deep end. Fortunately for me, even when I felt like I was drowning, I had a life preserver to keep my head above water. That life preserver was Guadalupe Barrera. When I tried asking other people at my school for help, I was often turned away, ignored, or quickly dismissed, but never when I asked Miss Lupita Barrera. Unlike others, Lupita actually knew all the answers to my many questions. She helped me while juggling the other things on her plate, and she did so with her signature kindness, efficiency, and professionalism. With Lupita's help, I started to thrive at the middle school. I gradually took on more responsibilities, became the head of my department, became a lead with the district level tasks, and received multiple honorary distinctions. None of those would have been possible if Lupita wasn't there to save me when I was first struggling all those years ago. By removing Lupita from the San Isidro Middle School, you are taking away our life preserver, a life preserver with particular experience, expertise, and specialty unique to the middle school level. A life preserver that wouldn't be there to help future newcomers to the middle school if she is removed against her will. I would like to respectfully request the board to please intervene and stop Lupita's transfer. I am not alone feeling this way. Lupita herself does not want to be taken away from Sims. I sincerely thank you all for listening. Thanks again, David Alcaz. Francisco Abarran, to who this may concern. With regards to Lupita Barrera, I am opposed to her leaving SYSD, leaving Sims, I think he meant to say. She has been with our schools for many years and knows the intricate workings which contributes to it running smoothly. As a teacher, I depend on her for direction and assistance. Bringing a new secretary at the same time as a new principal will only cause confusion. The principal will need to rely on the knowledge of a veteran, experienced secretary who knows the ins and outs of our school. Replacing Lupita is not fair to the new administration. Please consider this as you arrive at your decision. Thank you. Next one, Nadine Perez, to whom it may concern. I cannot imagine a San Isidro Middle School without our beloved longtime administrative secretary, Guadalupe Barrera. We all call her Lupita, and that name has become a reflection of the sincere affection and genuine appreciation the staff all have for her. It really does take a rare quality person like Lupita to be so beloved by so many people, from the employees of the school, the community members it serves, and everyone in between. Lupita has really become the solid foundation of the middle school, even as it faces other issues out of our control. I know how much the teachers, the students, the families, and leadership all depend on Lupita. That is why I cannot imagine Sims without her. I honestly would not like to imagine it. There is no need to make our school, which already faces a multitude of other challenges, endure such a drastic change. I plead with you all today to please reconsider and revoke the administrative transfer of Guadalupe Barrera. Thank you for your consideration. Nadine Perez. Oscar Garcia, to whom it may concern. Hi, my name is Oscar Garcia. I am a math teacher at Sims. I learned that Miss Guadalupe Barrera, Sims' main secretary, is going to be transferred to Willow Elementary School. I would like to request not to transfer her because she is an asset to Sims. She knows how to run the office in a smooth way. She is very helpful to all teachers when we need assistance, finding information. She also helps us with questions that we may have. Most of the time, she knows the answer or directs us to the right person or place. Having another secretary will mean that the office will not run smoothly for a while and mistakes are going to be made. I feel that it is in the best interest of Sims and the district to keep her in her current position. Thank you. Oscar Garcia, math teacher, San Isidro Middle School. That is the last one, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mata.
You're welcome.
On that note, we're going to move on to number 11, which is items from the board and superintendent. We're going to start with Mrs. Lopez.
Well, just wanted to say, we have a lot of decisions to make, but at the same time, I know that we're going to look at every aspect and give our support, which we think is best for our community, for our students and our staff. It's very important. And we're looking at this new school year to bring our kids back on campus and working together to be safe. Also bringing some new programs. And I know that we can do it. We need to do it. So we need to go on and work together, understand each other and listen to each other. I think that's real important. And we've accomplished a lot of that. And I want to thank the unions, the teachers, the classified that have worked so hard. And I know that they have questions. I know that not always we're in agreement, but in the end, they did agree. They did, lend a hand and were there present to help out. And I think it's something that shows that we can continue doing that and we can even do more things. I also want to thank many people that wrote me messages and gave me their support with my family for their prayers. And I know that I wouldn't have been able to go through without your prayers. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. We're going to move on to Mr. Vermilan.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Good evening, everybody. Just very happy to be here again with everybody. Just wanted to I guess encourage everybody to continue keeping up with everything that the district is doing. Just because school's out doesn't mean we're not working for the community and working for students. There's resources and activities that are being sent to you, so be sure to take advantage of those. I know we have a shorter break this summer, but still hopefully everybody can enjoy the summer and enjoy the time off. But still know that we're here to support you. We're here to listen to your concerns, and we're here to always provide the resources or services that you might need. But I did want to also just echo what Ms. Lopez says. Just thanks to everybody that's been working together. I know we have things are changing quite a bit just in terms of our community. We've recently opened up our communities. There's still certain things that we will need to follow and work on, but it's looking really good in terms of us starting the school year on the right foot. So I want to encourage everybody just to have a great summer, continue having a great summer, and then get ready, obviously, for our next school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gurmilan. Mrs. Palsiga, you're up.
Good evening, community members, families, staff. Just want to say how much we appreciate your support and everything that you've done to make this year end a strong year end in spite of everything. I appreciate our unions for bearing with us as we wade through and navigate through the minutia of safety items and protocol items that need to be unrolled and need to be ironed out before the new school year. I appreciate the continued positive effort, even if there's items that we don't see eye to eye on sometimes, but I know that everybody's priority is kids, is furthering them along, helping them heal from this last year and try to recuperate and recover anything that was lost over the last year. And I'm speaking with that from an academic standpoint, from a mental wellness standpoint for them. Of course, for staff, the same thing. So onward and upward to a new year. It's going to be here before we know it. We really are aiming to meet the needs of our community, our families. They've been through, everybody has been through a lot. Everyone has been through a lot. I think that goes without saying. And it's time to rise up from the ashes and get back to what we all know how to do. We have the best teachers in the county, I would say in the state, and best staff members. I mean, if anybody can do it, San Ysidro can do it. And San Ysidro has become a standard and a beacon, really, and an example to other school districts, our neighboring school districts. So that, of course, is because of our staff, because of our teachers, because of everybody that puts in. So we appreciate you all and looking forward to the coming school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Palisige. Mr. Lopez, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've just got a really short comments to make. In a few minutes, we'll be hearing the annual report from our Bond Oversight Committee. I'd like to thank them all for their service this past year, including the chair, who's going to give the report. And I just like to say, I look forward now we're really going to get working. Tonight, we'll also be approving our long-range master facilities plan and our technology plan. So next year's annual report isn't going to be so short. And I look forward to having a lot of things to report next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. And I'll go next, everyone. You know, this is June's an interesting month because it is one of the few months, in fact, I think the only month where we have 2 regular board meetings. So first of all, you know, and I've said this before in terms of all of our staff, thank you for an excellent school year. Even though it was difficult, I just want to commend all of our teachers, classified and admin team for getting us through this year. And then moving forward, I know that we're going to be opening up in terms of our schools, and we're going to offer the online learning academy as well. But I just want to reassure everyone that in the end of the day, safety is going to always continue to be the priority moving forward, just because we haven't seen the likes of this pandemic, a pandemic like this since the 1920s. So for me, safety, even though people are saying it's safe to open up, everything's going to go back to normal, and it will, but safety will always continue to be the priority. And on that note, I think that's pretty much it. I want to pass it to Dr. Potter, and that way we can move on. Oh, and I do want to say one more thing, and this is directed to Irene. Our prayers are always with you, and we love you. And on that note, I'll pass it to Dr. Potter.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few short comments. The first, just a shout out to our entire family in San Ysidro School District. We just found out that we're one of only 17 school districts in the entire United States to be recognized as a distinguished district for our STEM and career learning program. We were notified recently about the unique designation as a 2020-2021 Project Lead the Way Distinguished District, and we're just so excited. The award recognizes school districts who provide transformative learning opportunities, utilizing our Project Lead the Way program for its students. So I just want to say how proud we are of our phenomenal sci-fi program and team developed by our former Executive Director of Curriculum, Manuela Colom, refined by our current Executive Director of Education Services, Cynthia Monreal Gonzalez, and of course, the magic of our lead sci-fi teacher, Elva De Baca, and our amazing team of sci-fi teachers. So learning truly comes alive for our students with the sci-fi program, which very creatively folds the academic rigor of science into lively instructional lessons that involve the excitement of movement, music, and hands-on and project-based learning. Way to go, sci-fi team. You just put San Ysidro School District on the map in our nation. Way to go, sci-fi team. It's my first announcement. My second one is just really letting folks know that we know summer's here and our schools are closed, But I'm so proud of our child nutrition department. We will continue to do the seamless summer feeding program. It does look different than the drive-through feeding program. So every week, our child nutrition department will have a drive up. So you do have to get out of your car this time if you're a student or a child. So any child in the community, you don't have to go to our schools. If your age is 1 to 18 and you want a free breakfast and or a free lunch, we have 2 schools Monday through Friday serving free breakfast and lunch. Those are San Ysidro Middle School and Willow Elementary School. Breakfast is at 7:45 to 8:30 and lunch is 11 to 12. If you want to show up for breakfast and ask to pick up not just your breakfast, but your lunch as well, you can do that. So you can pick up a single day of food for breakfast and lunch at those 2 schools, Monday through Friday, 7:45 to 8:30 in the morning, and then lunch 11 to 12. My next thing that I wanted to share was that we opened 9 days ago our summer program, a free summer program for all of our students called the Summer of Heroes, coordinated by Mr. Omar Galleros. And then we've got principals who've been helping with the summer program, Mr. Bajorquez at Willow, and then also Ms. Connie Rodriguez at San Ysidro Middle School. This program not only has academic involved in it, but also we were so excited to partner with local organizations to bring arts, a day of Ponyland, Ranch Day at Willow, the San Diego Fire Department, a field trip to the zoo, water safety and swimming at the local swimming pool, SeaWorld, Petco Park, and Living Coast. So many, many thanks to our Summer of Heroes program. And my final announcement, we have a local hero on our governing board. That's our former governing board president and current board member, Mr. Humberto Germilan, recognized in the Southwestern Community College publication and magazine as the Renaissance Homeboy. A beautiful article written all about him. It even shows him jumping out of an airplane on behalf of San Ysidro School District. He was named the new press secretary for the San Diego County Supervisor Nora Vargas. They shout out to him that he was a former star on the TV as a TV sports anchor, an author, an Emmy Award winner in the film industry, filmmaker. He's his own foundation CEO, which always helps children in need throughout our county. Professor and the elected official from right here, San Ysidro School District, our governing board member leading our district. And of course, a continual surfer, which I love the most. So shout out to Mr. Germilan for being recognized as a true county leader and what they coined and dubbed him as a humble humanitarian. Congratulations, Mr. Germilan. Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Okay, we're going to move on to number 12, which is conference session, reports, presentations. We're going to start with 12.1, 2020-2021 Citizen Bonds Oversight Committee Annual Report.
Well, how do I follow up with that after such a great story from Mr. Board Member Gurmilan? So happy to follow up with him though. Good evening, board members. My name is Ricardo Macedo. I am the chair of the Bond Oversight Committee and proud to present to you the 2020-2021 annual report that we're going to have for you. Could we move on to the next slide, please? Excellent. This slide presents to you a summary of measures T and U. It's just for informational purposes. I believe you already know exactly what was happening early last year. The San Ysidro voters voted yes unanimously. I do not have the breakdown as of yet, but for presentation purposes. But both measures passed with, I'm going to say, very high degree of votes. And really what it was is the measure 2 is the 52.9 million new issuance, and measure U is a 55 measure issuance. If we could move on to the next slide, please. This slide provides the detailed more of exactly what happened with Measure T. More, I would say the most important aspect on this slide would really be at the bottom where it says Series A, September 17th, 2020, of the issuance of 15.8 million. This paid off the district's 2017 certificates participation of 15.3. So of this measure, that's probably a really important segment for you to look at. The next slide is going to be, again, the Measure U, a little bit more detailed information of that as far as what was passed. But again, I would focus your attention where it says Series A of what the issuance was of $20 million and the purpose of the issuance of the bonds. So that's the detailed information on Measure U. We move on to slide 5. What this represents to you is just the committee members that are part of the Bond Oversight Committee meeting, committee members, and it's just for representation purposes. There's 7 individuals here. The 7 individuals that started in 2019 are still on there right now, just for your purposes. The next slide is going to be the board representative and staff that attend our board meetings when we have them, and we had 6 this past year, fiscal year. We can move on to the next item. It's really, this represents the responsibilities for you. At minimum, we're supposed to meet 3 times a year. Really, the purpose is for us to meet and discuss and review the expenditure of the bonds, the agreement that they're being followed as agreed. Not only that, we're supposed to also review the financial audit for the school district, and also tour the grounds of the school district, and also provide, which we're doing today, a written report along with a compliance report that you will see later on. We can move on to the slides 8, 9, and 10. What these are is basically a summary of our board meetings this past fiscal year from 2020 to 2021. I think if you really would want to see them, I think you can see it at your leisure. And then we can move on to slide 11. And most importantly, slide basically 11 is really the statement of compliance that based on this past fiscal year of 2020-21, everything has been reported, has been accorded to and applied to as the law requires. So there's no findings, everything has moved on. I'm going to say, unfortunately, because there's no active construction happening, really don't have a lot to report. My hope is that for the next fiscal year, that we will be full of much more detailed reporting. Next slide, please. And open up for questions if there's any questions from the board members, and that if I'm able to answer those questions, I'll be more than happy to take them.
Thank you, Mr. Macedo. Great presentation. Just want to thank you for your service and for volunteering and being the chair. It means a lot, my friend. So thank you for doing all that you do.
No problem, my pleasure.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Macedo?
No questions for me, but I'm sure that as we ramp up, we're going to be, these updates will be much more to report. Good stuff. Thank you for your service.
That's as a committee, I could tell you that all the committee members are just ready to go and see the fruits of basically the 2 measures T and U to be applied. And we've also seen the long range plans, and it's going to be phenomenal for the community, for the kids, for everyone really. And that's really where we're at. We're just ready to go when everybody else is. But
I want to thank you, Ricardo, for all your services. And also, it's something that's a dream come true for our community, that we've waited so long to have these facilities, new facilities, to be brought to our community. So I know that we have a long range to go to bring all these ideas that we have from the community and new things that we want for our kids in future, kids that will be staying here, living here. So I know it's not easy, but I know that we can go forward. So I want to thank you and the committee for all your input and everything that you've done for us. And we'll be working together with you as much as we can. So thank you.
thank you.
Any other comments for Mr. Macedo? Questions?
Oh, just a quick comment, Mr. Macedo. Thank you for being for serving as chair, and I'm also grateful to everybody else serving on the board and the committee, because for a long time, this district didn't have bond oversight
committee.
Yeah, so we're very grateful for everybody's time and for everybody's input. I was able to be in one of the meetings a little bit ago, and I love that everybody's involved, engaged, asking questions, and really, really care about where we're going and what we're doing. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I could tell you just from, I wish I could have all of the board members here to tell you that they're very, very engaged, and they just want the best for the district. And we want to show well. We want to show not the community at large that San Ysidro can do big things. And that's what we're here to do, make sure we do help in that process. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present today.
Thank you, Mr. Macedo. Okay, so on that note, we're going to move on to our second presentation of the day, which is our 2020-2021 Lcap DBAC Committee Annual Report. And this is going to be by our Chief Business Official, Marilyn Adrianson, and our Executive Director of Educational Services, Cynthia Monreal Gonzalez.
Good evening, Board President Martinez, members of the board, Dr. Potter, cabinet, members of the community. Tonight, Ms. Adrianson and myself are here to present to you the 2020-2021 LBAC DBAC Committee Annual Report. The purpose of the LCAP DBAC Committee is to have meaningful discussions on the district's budget and the local control accountability plan, since these two things go hand in hand. The committee consists of representatives from all stakeholder groups, including board members, management, SYEA, CSEA, classified staff, parents, and students. And we meet approximately 4 times per year. The members of the committee for this year included our board vice president, Mr. Rudy Lopez. Our certificated management representative was Ms. Connie Rodriguez, principal of SIMS, and other principals did stop by. Our SYEA representatives include Natalie La Rosa, the president, Guillermina Sandez, Jennifer Cuestas, Joel Garcia, Jose Herrera. Our CSEA representatives include Ms. Fernanda Rios, the CSEA president, Daniel Chavez, and Yolanda Olcheski. Our parent representative was Tina Zavala from Ocean View Hills PTA. She's also a member of our district DPAC committee. From our ASBs at the 2 middle schools, from SIMS, we had Miss Emily Kurtz, who's the ASB teacher, and Sofia Garcia, the ASB student president. And from Vista Del Mar, we had Guillermina Sandez, who's the ASB teacher. Our representatives from the classified and confidential were Amber Elliott from the business team and Pat Garro from the business team. And then myself and Miss Marilyn also served on this committee.
The LCAP DBAC committee meetings were scheduled to meet 4 times in 2021. December 3rd, 2020, February 18th, 2021, May 27th, 2021, and unfortunately June 3rd, 2021, we did have to cancel that meeting, but normally we do meet 4 times per year. The next couple of slides will show the agenda topics for the 3 meetings. So overall, we discuss in-depth and detailed information discussion on the LCAP and the budget. So this gives our representatives the opportunity to ask very detailed one-on-one discussion with all the representatives and district staff. So these are the topics. And tonight we are giving the board our annual report. And if you have any questions, Ms. Monreal Gonzalez and I are here to answer them.
Great. Does the board have any questions?
None for me. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
None from my end either. But thank you so much. Great presentation. Okay, we're going to move on to our third presentation of the night, which is our 2021 LCAP Local Performance Indicator Self-Reflection. And this is a presentation is going to be by Executive Director of Educational Services, Cynthia Monreal Gonzalez.
So good evening again, members of the board president, Dr. Potter, members of cabinet and the community. Tonight, I'm here to present to you the 2021 Lcap local performance indicators. The local performance indicators are the approved standard from the State Board of Education for local indicators. They support the district in measuring and reporting progress for each priority area. Could I get the next slide, please? Sorry. And the measurements of the local indicators should be reported in conjunction with the adoption of the Lcap, which will also happen this evening as part of the board agenda. The 5 local indicators that we are tasked with monitoring include basic conditions, parent engagement, access to a broad course of study, implementation of academic standards, and school climate. And I'll go through each of those individually. So for area 1, which is basic conditions, the State Board of Education asks us to look at teachers, teacher assignments, and vacant teacher positions. We have 0 misassignments for any of our teachers in the district and for teachers who teach English learners. We did have 3 vacant positions this year. We had 0 students who did not have access to instructional materials that were aligned to the standards for the grades that they were in. And we had 0 schools not meeting the good repair standard. So all of our schools were considered to be in good repair when we did our annual visit of those schools to measure that. For performance standard number 2, we're looking at the implementation of academic standards. I have the rating scale for you on one side of the screen. I'll go through it on this slide, but it will follow in several slides because they're rated similarly. So they're rated from 1 to 5, with 1 being just an exploration and research phase of implementation and 5 being full implementation and a sustainable system. So our system of professional learning and professional development for teachers, you can see that in almost every academic area, we are at that level 5 where we're sustaining and fully implemented. With NGSS, which are the most current science standards, and history, social studies, which doesn't have new standards, but does have new frameworks. We're just in that beginning development phase to start to implement that professional learning for our teachers. For academic standards, instructional materials, you can see that those 2 align pretty similarly with ELA, ELD, and math all being at that level 5 of full implementation, and the science and GSS standards and history standards being at level 2, where we're beginning the development of that implementation as well. We will be piloting NGSS science standards, science curriculum next school year, and we are working with our SYEA group, CAG, which is our curriculum advisory group, to determine which materials we should pilot and let teachers explore this school year before we do an adoption of those materials. And then finally on this slide, under the yellow area, you'll see a policy and program to support improvement of instructional delivery. In this area, the state tasks us with monitoring collaboration between teachers, instruction through classroom walkthroughs, and pairing teachers and supporting teachers who need some extra support with instruction. As you can see, for ELA, ELD, and math, we are also at that level 5. For science, we have started some implementation at the middle school, so we are kind of at that initial implementation phase. We're moving into that phase with all of our grades. And then for history, social science, we continue in that beginning development phase.
Ms. Gonzalez, as you move to the next slide, we're having some sound feedback, and I'm not sure if maybe there might be a fan in your office.
Let me close my window. Give me a sec.
Oh, it's the window. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you so much.
Sorry, here we go. Okay. For performance standard 2, which continues to be academic standards that we're monitoring, these are other academic areas. They include career technical education, health education, physical education, visual and performing arts, and world language. You can see we're in various areas depending on the standard. For career technical education, we are monitoring ourselves right now at that exploration research phase. several years ago, we had a summer program that started that work, kind of in that enrichment and summer program. But as COVID began, we were unable to continue with that summer program, and we are still working to see how we can move this into our schools, but it's not something that we've been able to do in a sustainable way yet. So it's something that we'll continue to try to explore and see how we can have some of that exposure for our students. With our health,
Ms.
sorry, go ahead.
Gonzalez, just for clarification, career technical education tends to be primarily for high schools. Is there a component of career tech for elementary schools and R2 middle schools?
It does start to be implemented in middle school because it's a strand that goes throughout high school. While we're not required to implement it, it's not a requirement. It is something that we have tried to do through the 21st Century Learning Grant in our summer and expanded school program.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure. So our health education content is currently in its initial development stage and is being implemented at our middle schools. Our PE is at that 5 range of full implementation. The visual and performing arts is something that we're implementing at our middle schools as well. And then world language is implemented through our dual language program at all of our elementary school sites, except for La Mirada. It's the only one that doesn't have that program, but their sister school, Smythe, covers both of those neighborhoods. And then our middle schools have Spanish as an elective. So continuing on, I believe this is the last of the academic standards. You can see that this has to do with support for teachers and administrators in terms of their professional learning needs and supporting those. And you can see that we are anywhere in the 4 and 3 range. So we are in that initial or full implementation for all of these, where we're doing a very good job of supporting teachers when we identify a need for support, of doing that initial professional learning for all of our teachers. And we just want to continue to make sure that we're supporting each teacher with their individual needs. The next big area is parent and family engagement, and that's performance standard number 3. I won't go through and read all of these to you. I'll just kind of give you the highlights because they're very detailed. But the green section at the top all has to do with our work as a district in developing the capacity and having to build relationships between the school and the families. And so you can see that we're anywhere between initial development on a couple of those, and then we're all the way at a 5 on others. And this 5 is just the accessibility that we provide to our parents by providing meetings and everything else that we do in both languages, and making parents fully able to participate, and for language not to be a barrier for them to participate in their children's education actively. That takes us to building relationships, which is this entire section that's in orange and lighter orange, where again, we're in that initial and full implementation phase at all of the expected markers with our families and family engagement pieces. And then the next slide will have the last of the parent engagement, which is about seeking input. And for seeking input, we did score ourselves at 4, which is full implementation, because in all of the markers that it's asking for us to indicate, we very actively have parent advisory groups at each school that principals and staff engage with. Those advisory groups also work here at the district office with staff, and we do provide our parents with ways for giving us input, be it surveys, be it emails, meetings, town hall meetings, and all of those things. The next area under performance standard 4 is under school climate. For this particular area, the metric is a little different. The state is asking us to identify, using data that we gather from students, how we're doing in terms of school climate and what we're doing to support that in our schools. This is data that's from the California Healthy Kids Survey that was just taken about a month, maybe 6 weeks ago. The top area is school engagement and supports, where only 58% of our students expressed the feeling that they feel connected to school and that they have a caring adult relationship with someone at school. 13% of our students reported that they miss school more than 3 days per month, which we know that's a marker for chronic absenteeism. And then in the area of safety, only 68% of our students feel safe or very safe. And while 68% isn't the lowest number, I think we'd all like to see 100% of our students feel safe. So we do want to call it out as something that we will continue to keep an eye on and work on and try to improve. And then the last marker is under mental health, where 36% of our students reported feeling chronically sad or hopeless. And so those are areas that they give us a guide as a school district to make sure that we're building supportive plans at all of our schools to help mitigate these issues for our students. And our priorities in terms of developing cultures and supports for our students include our positive behavior intervention support system that we use at all of our school sites, the implementation of Second Step, which is the social emotional curriculum that we implement in all of our schools. The full implementation just began this year. We are also beginning to implement a tiered support for mental health and well-being that includes those instructional pieces with the social emotional curriculum, but also provides for additional supports on campus for students in terms of a social worker providing groups or maybe one-on-one therapy for students who need that additional support, and a tiered support system for chronic absenteeism, where our outreach consultants work with families and students to help identify things beyond just showing up to school. What are the things that are not allowing them to get here, or that they potentially need support with to help, that will help making come to school easier for them and a potential for them. The other big thing that we continue to work on are those wraparound services through our community partnerships. And I won't read them all to you, but we do have these partnerships listed under South Bay Community Services that support our families and support both on campus and in the community. We also have supports through Casa Familiar and San Isidro Health.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is the survey anonymous?
It is.
So as far, I guess all three areas, but safety and mental and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody ended, so like only the other remaining percentage that don't feel safe or very safe, and then the 36% that are chronically sad or hopeless. How can we assist them if we don't know who they are? How do we identify those that that we need to offer services or support to?
So in terms of safety, what we just really want to do is make sure that the environment at school is safe. So PBIS helps with that because it's a whole system of really reinforcing positive behaviors to help mitigate behaviors that we don't want to see at school. And then also that Second Step curriculum is going to help both of those things, because it's going to help us if students have some of those restorative practices in their classroom where they have circle time and they start building that bond and relationship with their teacher. They're able to have those conversations with their teacher and their teacher can identify them. As we start to build up these tiered systems of support for mental health, we are also in the process of purchasing a universal screener, which will not be anonymous, and it will be a survey of this type where we'll be able to identify students who need services immediately, and then we'll be able to intervene with some of those social worker services that we're onboarding for this new year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
this may be more something for another department maybe, but I was thinking if there's a way technically, kind of to Mr. Lopez's point, you know, when an anonymous survey is filled out by a student, especially, if they answer yes to certain questions, maybe there could be an automated response pop up on their screen with hotlines and phone numbers, like, hey, need to talk, you know, and, you know, just maybe some emotional, mental health support resources, because statistically, a young student is very unlikely to tell their parents that they're struggling, let alone a teacher or somebody outside of their family. Actually, it's more likely that they would tell a teacher even more than a family member. But, you know, maybe there's a way to just kind of create like an auto response with some phone numbers or resources. Are we allowed to do something like that? Just kind of for an immediate response to them?
I think our universal screener, which we're going to put into place beginning the next school year, will have the ability to identify students more readily. For
Nice.
this particular survey, it is a California Healthy Kids. It's a state-based survey, and it's just, it is an anonymous survey. There are other like safe holds in other areas. For example, when students take the SBAC or the CASP, there are writing sections within that, and that's part of my department. And so when we were doing that, if a student would write something of this nature, we would get an alert, and then we would go directly to SPED, and they'd do a follow-up with the psych reaching out to the student and doing an assessment and immediate evaluation to see, maybe it was just stress or maybe there's something more going on. So we definitely do hear both of you and see exactly what you're saying and are trying to put into place, like you're saying, a fail safe to make sure that we're there to support the kids and make sure that they have what they need, because we know that this is a subject that has always been very important. There's a lot more need at the moment, just because we're all going through a very difficult time, and isolation, I think, has made anxiety and stress more at the forefront of what everybody's experiencing. But, being a kid and being a teenager is very difficult. And so we're really aware that this is something that we are working on from all aspects and building it.
And maybe
I'll
also some, I'm sorry, Dr. Potter.
Go ahead, Mrs. Balaxige. I'll go after you.
I was thinking maybe some materials in private areas of the schools, like restrooms or things like that. I don't know how far we could go with that, but just, where someone would go to be alone, where a student would go to be alone. Maybe, hey, need someone, need help, call this number. I mean, they all have their phones on them now, which is really great for the modern era. But, like to your point, Ms. Monreal, it's just a way to really grab them as soon as they can, as soon as we can, if we can help intervene. So.
No, definitely. And then just so you have an awareness, we do put on the ID card of the students, the suicide hotline number. It's one of the things that, we have for our 6th through 8th grade students that we need to do, just for the same thing, as much awareness and support, just because in any moment someone could feel at that point, trying to kind of put it there and catch them before they fall.
Because of the COVID pandemic and the isolation that it brought to so many children across the nation with distance learning, online learning, all of the superintendents in the county of San Diego are very worried, as is the county superintendent, Dr. Gothold. So the county supervisors has tasked the county health department, the County Health and Human Services Department, and provided them with a significant amount of one-time funds to do an assessment of all of the students in just the county of San Diego when fall comes at the beginning of the new school year across all school districts. That will be specifically a mental health assessment. And from that, we'll be able to identify students who really need more sustained mental health services. We know that one of the most devastating effects of the COVID pandemic with schools closing and distance learning was the mental health issues for our students nationwide. So we're fortunate here in our county that the County Health and Human Services and the county supervisors are going to help out all 42 school districts in the fall.
That's great news, Dr. Potter.
So what grade level was this survey for?
So we're reporting data from our middle school grade level, but we did test students from 4th through 8th grade this year for this survey. But this data is particularly for our middle school level.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. I think Mrs. Gonzalez can continue.
Okay, thank you. The last slide with content on it is for performance standard 4, which is access to a broad course of study. We have local measures in place to ensure access for all of our students. Those are Common Core aligned instructional matrices for both ELA and mathematics in grades K through 8. We have an instructional design that has tiered supports to support students who are struggling with the California state content standards. And we also have a data reflection model to look at how students are doing academically and to be able to put in supports. Additionally, we are piloting NGSS aligned science materials, as I referenced earlier, which will bring those new standards into the classrooms for all of our students and all of our grade levels. And we do provide our students with opportunities for STEM, GATE, Spanish, computer science, and VAPA at various levels throughout the district. Some of it is part of our expanded learning program, but at our middle school, that's embedded in the school day. And we're very fortunate now with our Sci-Fi program that STEM is also embedded in the school day for all of our kindergarten through 6th grade students as well. We also are asked to look and see what proof do we have that access is being provided to all of our students. We're able to point to the rigorous core instruction by demonstrating our pacing guides and the embedded supports that we have and all of our middle school elective courses. And we're also able to point to our district-wide progress on the CASP assessments, which indicate positive gains in English language arts of 7% over since we started this program, and in math of 9.6% overall. Some of the barriers that we have identified in terms of access for all of our students is that chronic absenteeism, because we know when students are not with us, they're unable to access the full range of the broad course of study and the potential for them to grow and learn more. They're not here, they're unable to access those things. We also have identified student mental health and well-being, and we have within the new Lcap have a goal to address those needs. And an additional need is just, we have students who need support with the core and with English language development because of our higher English learner population. And so we have to find ways to make sure that we're supporting that. And so our revisions and new actions within the current Lcap that is on the agenda tonight for approval includes refining social emotional learning and mental health supports, a continued look at strengthening wraparound supports for students who are disengaged with the goal of eliminating chronic absenteeism for all of our students, and to strengthen academic supports and English learner services to ensure timely reclassification for our English learners so that they are able to fully engage in all of the enrichment opportunities at the middle school level. So that was the last of the performance standards that we're asked to navigate. In terms of next steps, this information will be reported through the California dashboard for each of the indicators that I shared with you, and the state and local indicator data will be made public when an update of the dashboard is released. In the past, it has been released in late December or early January. I'm not sure if the change from COVID might change that date a little bit this year, but that has been the date that it has been reported annually. So any questions on what I shared with you this evening?
None from my end, Mrs. Gonzalez. Do we have any other questions from the board?
None for me.
Okay,
Thank you for all
thank
of
you
the
so much.
information.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to general administration. 13.1 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting on June 10th?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Pelosigue, second by Mr. Lopez. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.1. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. Board Member Humberto Germilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Pelosigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.2, discussion and possible action regarding returning to in-person board meetings. Now, with this particular situation, before we can talk about it, we need to make a motion. So what I'll do this time around is I'll make a motion with the possible action of coming to in-person board meetings starting next month, which is June 15th, I believe, right, Dr. Potter?
July 15th.
Oh, July, excuse me, July. June,
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, so July 15th. So I'll make that motion and then we'll have a second and then we can discuss that and we can amend it accordingly, but that way we can start the conversation. Do we have a second?
I'll make the second.
Okay. Any discussion from the board regarding this?
Let's do it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Me too.
I'm ready. I'm excited to come back to in-person board meetings.
I guess my question would be, and this is the most important thing in terms of safety, does every board member feel comfortable coming in person starting next month?
I do.
Yes.
But I respect if there's a board member that, for whatever health reasons or personal reasons, can't. I'm completely understanding of that.
At least from my end, Mr. Martinez, I'm ready to get back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is live in-person board meetings, obviously, with all the safety precautions at this point and making sure that everybody's on board with this. I think this would be a huge step also in terms of our district and getting back to better than what was normal before.
Great. Mrs. Lopez, do you feel comfortable with the in-person board meeting?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So on that note, everybody's seems to be on board. Let's have that vote to come back to in-person board meetings starting July 15th and henceforth. Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.2, beginning with board member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. Board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Yes.
Board clerk Rudy Lopez. Board clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And board president Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.3, adoption of the local control accountability plan for school year 2021-2022. Do I have a motion to adopt the plan?
So moved.
You can second it, Mr. Gurmilan.
I'll second, Mr. Vice President.
Okay, so a motion by Mr. Lopez, a second by Mr. Gurmilan. Any discussion?
None for me.
Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.3. Board member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board president Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.4, resolution 2021-0036, education protection account for 2021-2022 spending plan. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Who made the motion?
Vice President Lopez.
Okay. So it's Mr. Lopez making the motion. Mrs. Palasigue second that. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.4. Board member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board vice president Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And board president Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.5, budget adoption for fiscal year 2021-2022. Do I have a motion to adopt the budget?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mrs. Palasigue. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.5. Board member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
and Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.6, resolution number 2021-0037, requesting a temporary transfer of funds. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Gurmilan. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.6. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye. Sorry, I lost the button.
Thank you. Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Thank you. Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.7, Memorandum of Understanding between San Ysidro School District and San Ysidro Education Association regarding compensation for bargaining. Do I have a motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Palasigue, second by Mr. Lopez. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.7. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.8, approval of conference attendance events for the governing board and superintendent for the 2021-2022 school year.
So
Do I have a Mr. Gurmilan? Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Gurmilan, second by Mr. Lopez. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.8. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.9, governing board membership for the 2021-2022 school year. This is for CSBA. Do I have a motion to approve the membership?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mrs. Palasigue. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.9. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to 13.10, 2021 Local Performance Indicator Self-Reflection. Now, this is an information-only item. We did hear Mrs. Gonzalez's report. Do we have anything else to add in terms of questions, thoughts regarding that presentation? Okay.
For me.
Perfect. And on that note, we're going to move on because it's an information-only item. We're going to move on to 13.11, which is our Long-Range Master Facilities Plan 2021. Do I have a motion to approve and adopt the Long-Range Master Plan?
So moved.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Lopez makes the motion. Mrs. Palasigue seconds that. Do we have any discussion? And we do have Mr. DiCamillo here in case we do have further discussion.
No, I just can't wait to see all the cool things we're going to build and have for our district and for our students. That is all.
Great. Yeah, and I just want to echo that. I do believe this plan is good. I know, obviously, because it's a master plan, essentially it's a guidance towards what we're going to be doing. And I do like the flexibility of it, Mr. DiCamillo, in terms that we can modify it accordingly as we move forward. And we could also decide what we're going to build first and, so on and so forth. That nothing necessarily is set in stone when it comes to the actual plan, but this essentially is a guidance towards that.
And to your comment, Mr. Martinez and Mr. DiCamillo, feel free to chime in or correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I gathered and, just from this plan is that it's subject, of course, to proper and fair bidding and design and submission. I mean, we're not jumping into any particular project right now. I just wanted to say that out loud, just for the community members that might be listening, that we're not actually adopting any or approving any specific build. It's just a long range plan. It's exactly what it is. So it's a bird's eye view of future things to come. So there will be, for any community members that might be concerned about what we're approving or unclear, just keep your ear to the ground in our forthcoming board meetings to see when we start agendizing things and coming to the community for feedback. So we're really anxious to hear from all of you on that in the future.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Palisige. And I just want to add, I really want to thank Mr. DiCamillo and WLC Architects Incorporated for creating this plan, for all the community meetings that we had regarding this. And also for, so I was on the San Ysidro Planning Group for around 6 years, give or take. And during that period of time, we were in the midst of developing our community plan update. One of the biggest issues I had with the city of San Diego was that this plan essentially was a guidance towards possible projects, but it never had incorporated an actual financial component. So what that would mean is that projects have been pending for 20 years, and we approved the last one, I think it was in the 1980s or early 90s, and there are projects there that have been there since, longer than that. So I really appreciate, Mr. DiCamillo, you adding into this particular plan a financial component, because it makes things more real and it gives us further guidance into making this happen. So I just really appreciate that from my end. And that's all the comments I have regarding this. Do we have any other comments, thoughts, discussion on this?
I think also that people may not be aware that this is just a roadmap to help show us as to what will be coming in the future. And this will be for the next 15, 20 years. I don't know if I'll be around, but anyway, it's something to give us to look in the future. And that's going to be very important, that if they live here and they want to see things, they were given the opportunity to let us know, but we can still continue, feeding and letting them know, and for them to feed us and let us know, what is it that they see. And I know that a lot of our community has moved out of the area to other areas where there is a lot of, how would I say, programs and a lot of activities that we don't have right now because of the situation of we don't have the money. But now we're looking at something that we can bring to our community that is needed for such a long time, especially for our youth. I think that's real important. So it's just for them to keep up with us and, keep watching, keep listening to our board meetings or getting the agenda, ask for it, because I think it's real important for all of you that are taxpayers and home property. It's important for you to know that this is your community also. So that's all I want to say. But also, thank you, Mr. Camilo, for everything that you do, because I think it's real important. And I remember going to the planning committee for years. I used to hear that they were going to do this and that never was done. And now it's finally something that we're going to do with the money we have, and don't need to go ask or beg them for help, because I don't think they really look at what our situation is in our community. So thank you for everything that you have done. And I think it opened the eyes and minds of a lot of people too. So thank you for all your work, Mr. Carrillo. I think it's good.
Great. Okay, on that note, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.11. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. Congratulations, everyone. All right, next plan, 13.12, Technology Plan, 2021-2028. Do I have a motion to approve, adopt the plan?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mrs. Lopez. Do we have any discussion? Okay, I just want to say one thing. I want to just thank Mr. Lewis, Mrs. Adrianson, and Mrs. Gonzalez for coming up with this plan. I think that ultimately, Mr. Lewis, when he gave the presentation, I think we're all impressed by it. So I just want to say thank you from that end.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. And that note, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.12. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
100% yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0. Woo-hoo.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. Okay, 13.13, Consolidated Application for 2021-2022. Do I have a motion to approve the consolidated application?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Lopez, second by Mr. Lopez. Do we have any discussion? Okay, hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 13.13. Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. We're going to move on to number 14, Consent Calendar. All items appearing are adopted by one single motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the consideration of the motion unless a board member or the superintendent requests that any such items be removed from the consent calendar and voted on separately. Do we have a motion for the consent calendar?
I make the motion.
Second.
Okay, I heard, okay, so Mrs. Lopez made the motion and then Mr. Lopez seconded that. Do we have any discussion or items to be pulled?
No pulls on mine.
Okay. Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item 14, beginning with Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Aye.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. And we're going to actually recess back into closed session. So I'd like to entertain a motion for us to recess back into closed session at 7:49 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lopez, second by Mr. Gurmilan. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote, please, to recess back into closed session?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote to recess back into closed session, beginning with Board Member Irene Lopez.
Yes.
Board Member Humberto Gurmilan.
Yes.
Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue.
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez.
Aye.
And Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0.
Thanks, Dr. Potter. And on that note, we're going to recess back into closed session at 7:49 p.m. For those of you listening in, thank you for being here, and we'll be back shortly after we finish our closed session items. Thanks, everyone. Okay, are we all here, Dr. Potter?
Hi, Mr. President. I'm counting now.
We're missing Mr. Gumilan.
Yeah, you're right, Mr. President. You do have a quorum. Oh, no, there we go.
Okay, so all of us are here again. Like us to reconvene from closed session at 8:26 p.m. The board did not take action. There's nothing to report out. And on that note, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:27 p.m.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Mrs. Lopez, a second by Mr. Gurmilan. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Potter, can you lead us in a roll call vote to adjourn?
Thank you, Mr. President. Calling for the roll call vote for agenda item number 15, adjournment, beginning with Board Member Irene Lopez
Yes.
and Board Member Humberto Gurmilan
Aye.
and Board Clerk Rosalia Palasigue,
Yes.
Board Vice President Rudy Lopez,
Aye.
Board President Antonio Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote passes 5-0. Do you want to state the time for the record that we
Absolutely.
closed?
Absolutely. So on that note, we're adjourning at 8:27 p.m. Want to thank everyone for joining us and thank you.
Thank you. Good night.